Hey guys, real fast, before this video even starts, I did want to actually apologize for any sort of inconvenience the last couple days with me recording the chapter of my book. I've been having a lot of technical difficulties with my laptop, but I hope this video isn't too sloppy for you guys. If it is, I apologize. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it though, and I will see you guys in the next one. Alright, here it goes. I do apologize for any sloppy editing, and I do apologize if I do talk a little bit too fast. I tend to kind of just basically talk a little bit too fast. If that's not too, at all self-explanatory, I don't know what is. So yeah, here we go. Okay. Whenever my brain wants to start working. When a family member dies, or we make a dumb decision, we regret it and wish that we could go back in time to change the past. See, I'm already talking really fast, I apologize. What my point is I sit here, struggling to keep warm with no fire because that would give my location. I wish so much that I could... I wish that I could have tried more to save everyone. Back then, what more could a 16-year-old girl do? They wouldn't listen to me. They thought I was crazy for telling what I had received. Why was I the only one to get this message and no one else? There were some people out there that had some conspiracy theories, of similar occurrences, but like me, no one believed them. Well, since half of humanity has now died because of this alien invasion, they were the ones having the last laugh. I lost track of the years already. Since everything on Earth has been blown up, burned, trashed, or everything electronic has been destroyed, there was no way to look on calendars to see what time it was. I kept my phone for some reason, debating whether or not to throw it down on the ground or keep it when I moved to a safe point. I guess just having it in my pocket brought some warmth to my busted soul about the good old days. I was an only child, but I wish having a younger brother or sister here with me to talk to or just to pick on. I couldn't even sleep if I wanted to. I feared that those things would sniff me out and have me for a midnight snack. There were at least two types of these vile things. One type were a tall, gray-colored fleshy beings with huge oval eyes with pale blue irises. You're probably wondering how I know this. I haven't been up close and personal with them, but I have seen one of them shapeshift from a normal human-looking being to their natural form. I was hiding in a bush watching the alien being arch its back and crawled on all fours, like a dog. Its arms were massively long. The alien sniffed a dead body it had found, poking and prodding every inch of the poor person. Then it did the most horrendous thing, and it began to eat the body. Its teeth, I noticed, that were sharp as a razor, and I gagged and almost threw up, but nothing would have came out because I haven't found anything to eat in at least 2 days. The alien must have smelt my breath, sticking its head up in the air and looking around. I covered my mouth, holding my breath as it scanned the landscape. A long bloody rope-looking thing hung from its sharp teeth, and I whimpered as I realized that it was the man's intestines, and he was eating them. The man slurped the intestines, or the alien rather, slurped the intestines and chewed for the longest time. When it didn't see anything, it went straight back to eating the man. I crawled out of the bush and inched my way from that alien. What keeps going through my mind is why God would do such a thing. I don't mean to piss anyone off right off the bat by saying such a thing. I myself am a Christian. But when you see stuff like this and struggle each day to survive, I bet you would start to lose some faith. Excuse me. God, I'm having a brain fart. After that little incident, I haven't seen another human being for the longest time. Well, actually, I haven't seen a legit human being since the world fell apart. I almost feel like I've lost what it actually takes to speak words. I can't walk on public roads because if I step 1 foot on that pavement, I start to have a panic attack. I think if I walk across the street, I'll sure as heck get to the other side. I just freak out because with all those cars, something is bound to drag my foot and grab my foot and drag me under. Oh, and I almost forgot the other type of being. Excuse me, I meant to say that these were built like bulldogs. Excuse me. I don't know what I was writing. You know those cute little bulldogs that people seem to have all over like it's the coolest trend? Again, I meant to say that they were built like them. They were at least 10 times bigger than that, kind of like a bear. Have long, sharp teeth, like a warthog or an elephant. They were also gray and fleshy, but their skin is almost so transparent you can see all of their blood veins and organs. I also have had a sort of encounter with them. It was in a ransacked store looking for any sort of food, but only finding moldy wheat bread and spoiled non-fat milk. Like seriously, the world is ending and people aren't going to take wheat bread and non-fat milk. At least it's something you could consume. Don't be picky. Also, And also, who exactly is going to take the time to sort out what milk they needed? I heard a horrifying roar that what I thought was a lion at first. I jumped and turned towards the window, seeing a gigantic rhinoceros-sized running thing, or bear-sized running thing. What the fuck? Sized thing running, across the field after two people. I would kind of assume that they were human because why would they be chasing their own kind? Unless they were setting a trap, of course. The monstrosity chased across the field. The ground seemed to shake like an earthquake was happening after they were chasing the two. One person tripped and fell, screaming as the monster tore into his stomach, splattering guts and blood in every direction. Somehow, the man's stomach and a piece of his intestines flew all the way to the convenience store window, splattering against the glass. I gasped, falling down on my knees and under the counter. I sat there, hiding for the rest of the day, crying. This sucks so much. Why the hell did this happen to us for? We didn't do anything wrong. We all minded our own business. I mean, if it were because of all the evil people in the world, there were still some good people to cancel that out. And with billions of stars in our galaxy, some of those with suns like ours, there were bound to be another Earth-like planet. But they still have to pick ours for what reason? After the beast left, I crawled out from under the counter and continued to scavenge for food. I found some bags of trail mix untouched and put a chunk in my mouth. I really didn't care if it was out of date or if I got sick. At least I would die knowing I had something in my stomach. I went out to the back door, and at the back door of the convenience store, I headed down the bike path. From what movies and books have taught me, never go out in plain view or on a street or highway because some jackass is bound to be hiding somewhere. My goal right now was to find a compass or a map so I can go up north. Maybe the aliens didn't like the cold weather. I would have a sliver of hope with that, but my gut told me to find my family in Idaho or Las Vegas. That's actually a reference to my family because I do have family in Las Vegas. My grandpa and grandmother did live there. Yeah, fun fact. My brain rattled at this because if the aliens are like bacteria, they would like someplace warm, like a warm, moist environment to breed. That would explain that right now in spring weather there were barely any aliens around. But gradually, every day it got warmer, and that would explain why I saw those two rhinoceros-sized aliens running around. I figured that because there was no hope for my other family members, because half of humanity died, they were probably among them as well. Going up north, there were probably human camps that were safe to go to, but then again, who could you trust nowadays? These aliens made it impossible to trust people. That's why I'm here, lying on a makeshift bed of shredded cardboard and styrofoam, racking my brain on what to do. I was alone with no one to protect me or talk to. If I went to find my family or other survivors, I was bound to get eaten. And if I went up north, well, I'd either be eaten on the way or at a survivor camp because they would probably be real aliens. I sat up, deciding if I wanted to eat my trail mix. I took out a raisin out of the bag and pretty much marveled at it. Back before this alien apocalypse, I used to love raisins. Whenever my parents would go shopping, I would beg them to buy me some boxes. I don't know. This was a reference to me because I loved raisins, but it just sounds very weird. And when they did, they would find the biggest friggin' box they could find. When we got home, I would gobble them up like they were pretty much candy. I continued to stare at the raisin, tears swelling up in my eyes. I sadly put the raisin in my mouth, savoring every sweetness of it. It felt so good to bring back fun memories, but at the same time, it sucked. What had happened to my parents? I still haven't forgiven myself. I feel like, yeah, it wasn't my fault, but it also felt like it was. I could have and should have done more to save them. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Sometimes I wish it were me that was taken and not them. They did nothing wrong. They were good-spirited people who loved doing what they did. My mother was a teacher for 6th graders, and my father was a police detective. Never once had they come home angry or irritated about what someone did, at work. I can't read. They enjoyed helping people, making them feel safe, or just making a difference in society. Now that would come as a shocker about my father, since he was supposed to be used to killings and possible death threats. Bleh, tongue-tied, damn. Actually, 50% of the time he was finding bad guys in child-packed neighborhoods and locking them away for good. That's what the people loved about him. I wiped my tears from my face and sighed. The bushes rattled behind me, making me jump. I dove underneath the bench, throwing the cardboard and styrofoam over me. The bush rustled more as whoever was it came closer. I held my breath, playing dead. A brown head of hair had poked out of the bush, followed by a pair of eyes and a nose and a full neck. A kid no older than myself crawled out of the bush. He mumbled something into the bush. I couldn't quite understand him. Maybe it was Russian he spoke. Next, a little girl poked herself out of the bush. They looked around and listened, and the boy surveyed the area before taking a step forward. The girl stepped forward first, and her brother, I guess, grabbed her arm and pulled her back. She looked around to the bench I was under and beside her, and then back to the bench. She said something to the boy, who jerked his head towards where I was hiding. God damn it, I didn't have a single weapon to defend myself with. When the apocalypse happened, the first place people ran to were the gun stores. The boy seemed to try not to notice me under the bench and began to speak something I didn't quite understand. I figured he wanted me to come out of hiding to try and bargain with me. I slowly crawled out from under the bench and hurried to stand up. They both stared at me, not knowing what to say. I tried to act tough with a blank expression on my face. I didn't want to scare them into thinking I would harm them and have them attack me. That's not what I wanted right now. I needed more food to stock up on and shelter. The girl began to speak first, but the boy shushed her. I looked for an escape path in case things didn't go well. The bush I noticed were blackberry bushes, meaning they had thorns, and also meaning that these two would have scratches or thorns stuck in their skin, and possibly blood on their skin. The boy spoke, trying to ask something from me. When I stood there with a blank expression, the boy grunted and looked at his sister again. The girl shrugged and tried to speak English. The more I heard her accent, I began to realize that these guys weren't Russian at all. Their accents sounded nothing like the ones I heard on television or in real life. And when I began to look at the scratches on their arms, I began to realize that their blood wasn't red like human blood. It was more black like tar. I was pretty much screwed right now. And I don't know why I wrote this either. I was trying to make it sound like they had an accent. So if I sound really horrible, I apologize. Me brother was trying to ask if you had any food. The little girl asked with a thick accent, and that's apparently me doing a thick accent. The way I was taught how to read people is how they pronounce words. The way she spoke, her thick accent stuck to her words. Quote unquote thick accent. It's really hard to explain, really. Every other syllable, she seemed to garble up her words. And when she was saying foods, her words garbled again. I took a small step back, slowly reaching for my backpack. I tried to stall as much as possible so I could run when they weren't looking. The boy, I could see in the corner of my eye, was drooling, and his eyes seemed to grow abnormally large, as well as his pupils. I reached for a small loaf of moldy bread for them, and the girl reached out to grab it, but the boy couldn't peep it in and snatched my arm, pulling me closer. His mouth opened wide enough to fit my head in. I dove to the ground, dragging him down with me. The boy snarled at me and crawled over me like the Grudge. I grabbed his throat to try and hold him back, but he lunged at me and started to snap like an alligator. I closed my hands around his throat, closing off his airways. The creature's mouth changed to where sharp fangs appeared, coming just inches from my face. The more I dug my nails into his throat, he shrieked and fully changed into an alien. Up close, these things were disgusting. The alien snapped and dropped bits of slobber on my forehead. I grunted and began kicking the alien in his gut. It began to grow weak, which gave me the great opportunity to take over and kill it. I threw the alien to the side, continuing to crush his airway. It started to thrash around, using his massive claws to rip at my skin. It nicked my skin a few times, making deep gashes on my cheek. My blood began to boil, which made me squeeze harder. The alien gradually stopped thrashing around, going limp. I looked around for anything for me to use, and the only thing I found was a medium-sized rock. I snatched it from the ground just as the little alien girl dove at my hand, snapping at it. I used the rock to smash the skull of the boy alien, and it shrieked a few times before finally dying. I had hit it a few more times just to be sure. Before I could react to the other alien, a loud blood-curdling scream erupted from her, making me cover my ears. I had to run before either any more of them showed up, or these giant alien beasts charged after me. The girl shapeshifted into her gross alien form, and by gross I mean she had blood and saliva dripping from her fangs. Her eyes were bloodshot and her skin was transparent and smooth where you could see her nerves and her organs and her bones sticking out. Her spine had sharp bones sticking out as well. She charged at me, and in just a nick of time, I dodged her. There was no way I could fight her. She seemed faster and stronger. She got low to the ground, ready to charge. Her arms were so long, she could kick off on the ground and get more speed to jump very high in the air if she could. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. I let her charge at me one more time before dodging her again and running for my life. She shrieked again, this time maybe louder. The giant alien beasts could have definitely heard that one, no doubt. I ran until she was out of my sight, and I tried hiding in a nearby house. I climbed over the fence, snagging my pant leg. I could hear screaming noises coming from down the bike path. I freed myself from the fence and bolted to the back door. I had no choice but to climb again through the window. I knew I wouldn't be able to kick the door down. I wasn't that strong of a person. Now I kind of regret not taking that bodybuilding class or weightlifting before all of this. There was a shovel laying on the patio, so I used that to smash the window. Under my breath, I apologized to the past owner of the house, and I climbed through the window. I had to look for a place to hide. I checked the closet, make sure no booby traps were hidden behind boxes or coats. I stuffed myself into the closet that was under some stairs. I used every possible thing in there to cover myself and block myself from view. Excuse me. Goddamn. I closed the door and locked it from inside. I stopped breathing when I heard the noises from the back door. The alien shrieked when they came up to the door, but that didn't stop her. She busted through no problem at all. I heard her feet pattering across the floor and sniffing noises as she tried to follow my scent. She hissed and growled as she made her way into the kitchen. Her nails scraped the floor as she moved, and she snarled and sniffed as she came closer, and I could tell she was in front of the closet door now. She sniffed the door, hissing more as she realized she might have found me. The door shook as she bumped it. I closed my eyes, praying that I wouldn't go down like this. A noise like something falling off a shelf came from upstairs. The alien snorted and jerked her head towards the noise. Jerked towards the noise, excuse me. Then she stomped her way up the stairs, towards the noise. As she stomped, dust and searing material fell from the stairs. I slowed my breathing, straining my ears to hear what was going on. I heard a muffling coughing from the person upstairs, and then the alien shrieked. A gunshot came from the room, followed by a scream. The screams got louder, but then were replaced by a death cry, and as the alien probably tore into the person's body. One more gunshot came, and then silence. Another falling noise came from the bedroom, but then nothing. Not even the alien stopping back downstairs to find me. I stayed in the closet for what seemed like an hour. If the alien was dying or already dead, someone should finish it off. I unlocked the closet and waited a few seconds before exiting. I opened the door and putting my ear out to hear anything. When I didn't, I went into the kitchen for a knife. I grabbed the biggest steak knife I could find and made my way upstairs. The floorboard creaked one by one as I walked up them, making me stop every so often to make sure no one heard. I checked in every single room and saw that there were 2 children's rooms. Excuse me, I don't know what the hell. I checked in every single room and saw that 2 children's rooms had dead, mangled up bodies in them. They were half eaten and half decomposed. They had been dead there for a while. Intestines were sticking out of their bodies and with their stomachs and spleens thrown on the bed, half eaten as well. Their poor little faces were covered in blood and their heads were bitten open, and I noticed that their brains were gone. There was nothing in their head, just emptiness. I straightened up and walked a little faster past their rooms. I wanted to make it out of there, but I had to make sure the thing wouldn't follow me. I made it into the master bedroom, where I saw a woman on the bed dead with the gun laying by her side. Her stomach was the first thing that the alien went for, and I saw that everything inside of her was shredded, like strips of paper. The alien was curled up beside the bed, legs twitching and blood pouring out of its chest. I reached for the gun, having to pry it out of the woman's hands. I apologized to her, and reached over to close her eyes. I put her gun, a .45, into my backpack. I leaned over the alien, who whimpered in pain as it made eye contact with me. It tried to scratch at me, but dropped its hand to the floor. Then it hissed at me, showing its teeth to try and scare me. I dropped down on my knees, holding the knife above its head. The tip of the knife twinkled in the sunlight that peeked through the curtain. "You should never have came to this planet," I said, bringing the knife down into its head. I dug the knife deep into its head, feeling the sense of relief. For a moment, I couldn't control myself and continued to stab the freaky thing. I don't know what the hell I meant. I don't know. I would rip the knife out of the skull and pierce it in a new spot. My blood boiled each and every time I made a puncture wound, and the more I did it, the more I felt relieved. It felt like I was getting the revenge I needed to get back at them for killing my parents. So that is actually the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I apologize if it was at all sloppy. I had to hurry of course, to get this done by Halloween. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It means a lot to me that you guys would view this video, and all the hard work that I put into it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little chapter. And I will see you guys in the next video.